This is Tantra Maat. I felt really called to record a podcast this morning, short, and I think to the point. You know, I lived in Saudi Arabia in the early 70s. I spent quite a few years working in Ireland. I have a global community. I have clients from every part of the world, even non-English speaking uh, people. And I am a seer. And because I prefer to work in consciousness and not be dominating people with what I see, I've always organized my own work on behalf of these years we're in now. So I really trust people. I trust that if people are informed, they can begin to make right choices for themselves. And we've been very coddled in the United States of America. We've had a good run, even with all the things that are lacking in our country. But we've also been isolated. We don't get even weather news about Canada or Mexico. We don't get news about what's happening in other countries until recently, and Substack's been a huge part of that. But most people in the United States don't have a global mind. They have a idyllic mind, and when Trump was elected, regardless of whether you voted for him or not, a lot of my clients suffered terribly, and they suffered from something called idealism. And I love idealism, and I'm an idealist, so I can vote for idealism. But idealism of what is vision? Idealism is the desire to have something be beautiful and lovely, paradise, which is what I operate in and what I operate on behalf of. But it's a dual world we're in here, and I think a lot of us hasn't have known for some time that that which operates against life has to be revealed so that operates on above, so we can make choices about our own lives, particularly make choices about what operates on behalf of life for ourselves. So this is very simple. I've been watching since the 70s. I've been watching the European countries because I was in their news a long time. I have been watching these prophecies that I wrote and have them be not afraid booklet on Amazon. I've been watching the Arabic countries. I have people in the Field of Tantra Maat collective that live overseas and can track Europe and can track Africa and can track Australia and can track the Middle East. And so we have a global mind. Quite a few of us do, and quite a few of us don't. But I wanted to let you know something. I think you need to take care of life where you're standing. When I say I think you need to do that, I actually know you need to do that, but it's just an offer. Because we're at the effect of global choices. We now have a global agenda. I don't mean you and I do. I mean, the players on the stage are seeking a global unification. We'll see if it operates on our behalf as individual people in individual worlds. We'll see. But we've been here before, and many, many countries overseas have learned to work under culture, within cultures that had no interest in their own well-being. This is going to be a weird time. And I don't know how many of us have the capacity to bond together, to become part of collective groups that can take care of each other. And will there be a crisis? Of course, we can all feel it coming. But I really think that we're in a transcendent period of time where even that which doesn't look like it's operating on for the good of humanity, even where countries become pawns for bigger countries to devour and use their resources, we have each other. We're not going to organize probably at the level that I see us organizing in the future, fairly immediate future, because we're kind of waiting to see where everything's going to land, particularly after the November elections. And we don't even know if they can really impact anything. So stay observant. We are moving from being an isolated culture into a global culture. Our rural way of existence is ending, and yet it must begin again. What this means is that government is playing for transactional wealth, perhaps not any that will trickle down to us. But it's really important for you to learn to survive, particularly if you're a young person. Play the system. It's so sad sometimes to say that, but sometimes we have to put idealism aside to figure out how we can have food on our table, how we can make things work, and how we can hold our emotional field and keep life beautiful under the worst of times. So, the psychic part, I'll just say I have 3 minutes before 10 minutes. Just imagine for yourself that the United States of America is in global transactions for large corporations to build a global society of wealth. It's almost unfathomable, isn't it? But I've seen it since the 70s. I was in conversations in Saudi Arabia with Northrop and Aramco talking about manipulating the oil market the next 30 years. I've been in other conversations too. I once worked with major players in the government of Ireland. So I've been in on some big conversations, been in conversations with lieutenant generals and that are struggling with the path the United States was about to take in the area of violence and war. So I don't come at this coldly. I live in a relational field that has been privileged to have access to information. But I trust the survival mechanisms in human beings. So just take some time to consider that you're no longer an object of consideration and how to figure out how to take care of yourself. Wonderful things will happen out of this, by the way. People will gather not only to fight what is going against life here, but they will befriend each other. They will support each other. Small communities like what we have here in New Mexico will begin to propagate food and figure out systems that allows a community, probably small communities and friendships and families, um, to keep going. So, are we in a cluster F? Yes, of course we are. Everybody sees that. But instead of looking just for our political world to take us out of here, out of this cluster F, why don't we go through our own fears and our own worries? Why don't we start to listen for new systems of reality rising within which we become a culture of human beings, either in small ways with small groups or in large ways as large groups, and leave our governments to not govern probably anymore, but to make their transactional deals. And some of us will move. Some of us will leave the United States of America. It's a big deal what's happening right now. And I'm really sorry. I'm not giving you good news or bad news in a way. There's probably some bad news coming. But our fear of survival and our kind of selling our souls for our survival, it really has to end. We've got to find each other again. We gotta find a way to make it. Those of us that want to keep a culture of love and a culture of caring and a culture of unity in the midst of all this. So just find your threads, find your relational threads, find those that can care, find those that have an idea about how to make it during this period of time. My daughter's an activist, and she is works with farming here in New Mexico. Um, Quite a few years ago, farming wasn't part of New Mexico, and yes, will some people move? Yes, lots is going to happen. Lots unexpected, and but it was always coming, and eventually we will be a global world. And I feel fortuitous about that. I've seen the young people that are coming up that we have birthed. I'm 80 this month. I've seen the young ones coming up. They have different minds than us older people do. They'll figure it out. You know, all these major corporations, Boeing and X and all these people, they actually can't be wealthy without us because they need us to be wealthy. Just keep that in mind, okay? But when I was listening to Rudy this morning and Martinez, I'm really impressed. I'm really thrilled to get the world reports from him. I was thinking, wow, I always knew this was coming. I knew it back in the 70s. And it's really important to watch the world stage and particularly to get news outside the United States of America because our instincts to survive, our sensitivities to our own well-being will rise to the foreground through all this. I know there's a huge lure to just make people wrong and to react and to just be upset with everything around us, but we've really got to pay attention to our own well-being and eventually inside of all this, our own survival. So, you know, I don't have to make these recordings. I'm not trying to have you pay me money, and I'm been doing what I've been doing since I was 19, you know, activations and engagements with people who seek to touch their own souls and be the source of their own support and their own well-being. But these times have loomed in my consciousness since the early 70s, and it doesn't seem right for me not to share something I've been paying attention to and have been given information about all these years. Because wherever I've been given information from loves us and thinks that human beings are the cat's meow. What would happen if we could think we were the cat's meow too? All right. I think that's all I have to say this morning. I don't know if this is of value to you, but I am a seer, I am a mystic, and I am a facilitator of consciousness. And one of the things you learn is sometimes it's just important to put it into the thread. It's just important for the electromagnetic field to hear information, because sometimes information can calm fears, strangely enough, because they were there to begin with. And then we begin to deal and we begin to figure it all out. So take care of yourself, okay? If you've not been outside of this country, then take care of the part of the country you're in. find your friends and family that you can feel safe with and enjoy life with as this goes on. Namaste.